Hey guys, it's a rainy, dreary day today, so I am going to stay inside and I'm going to process all the groceries that I picked up this week at Kroger. And so you saw me pick up a bunch of chicken, so I'm going to package that up and I'm going to do some marinades and I'll show you how to do those. I might even can some if I get to that today. If not, I'll put it in the jars, stick it in the fridge, and I'll can it tomorrow. But I'm pretty sure I can get that done before the end of the day. I'm also going to cut up all the peppers. I'm going to cut up the zucchini and maybe do some onions that I bought a bunch of extra onions. So I might chop those up as well. And in case you guys are new here, my name is Kim and welcome to my kitchen. This is Saving with Six and I will show you today how to do these marinades. So I'm gonna start on those right now. I also decided that I'm gonna cook up some bacon, so I have that. And so I defrosted some bacon out of the freezer last night that I got on clearance at Kroger, and I'm going to cook that up so I have some cooked bacon in my freezer. And the way that I do bacon is relatively easy. I like to cook it in the oven so it doesn't splatter all over my stovetop. And so all I do is parchment paper down on a baking sheet and spread my bacon. And I'm going to cook both these trays at the same time in my oven. And I have to set a timer for my bacon because if I don't, I just wait till I smell it and then it's too done for some people. So I'm going to set a timer and check on it every 10 minutes. So I'm just going to throw these in the oven. I'm just processing these peppers. So I'm going to cut the tops and the bottoms off the ends, chop up those into squares, put those in this bag, and then make strips out of the middle pieces, and those are going to go in this bag. And I'll use these for fajitas and these just to cook with on a regular basis. So that's what I'm doing with the peppers. This knife isn't very sharp. Cut off the bottom, cut off the top. Oh my gosh, I need to get new knives. And then pull the middle out like that. Cut these into strips. And the strips go in the little bag over here for strips. And then I just take these pieces that were the ends and chop these up and use these to cook with. What I like to do with the zucchini is to actually shred it and then stick it in the freezer and then use that for when I want to make like a pizza crust or something like that, or throw it in some soups or meals, meatloaf, that kind of thing, just to amp up the veggie content. So I'm going to use my food processor attachment on my KitchenAid, and I'm going to shred this up, and then I'm going to put it in little baggies, and I'm going to stick it about 2 cups a piece in little baggies, Ziploc bags, stick those in my freezer, and then pull those out when I need them to cook with. So I kind of have an idea how much zucchini this is. I'm just going to measure out 2 cups. And I'm just going to do all of it just like that. Canning chicken is one of the easiest things, and I love having cooked canned chicken on my shelves. All you do is fill up your jar with the chicken, you process it, it makes its own juice. You don't have to water or heat it up or do anything to it. So I'm just going to get these cans ready to go in my canner. I do not have time this morning probably to actually can them, but I will do them this afternoon.
So my plan is to put 2 packages in these 4 jars. So that'll be about 10 pounds of meat, which will give us about 4 meals. I'm pretty much an ingredient canner. I don't make a lot of recipes with chicken or pork. I usually just can the chicken or pork, and then I use it in the recipes that I like to make. So in this case, I'm going to probably use this in some chicken stew or in chicken salad, that kind of thing. And this canned chicken is so delicious. It's so much better than the canned chicken that you could buy from the grocery store. And we just really like it a lot. So all I do is cut up the chicken in chunks. I'm putting some pieces of fat and things over to the side. cut up the chicken that I'm going to use, put it in the jars, and then stick them in my pressure canner. They basically make their own juice. And then once that happens, you can use the chicken as in the recipes. And then I take the broth and I use that as part of my chicken stock. And it makes delicious broth as well. Super easy. And I will put the directions for all of this down below so that you know exactly how long to pressure can it if you're going to do this yourself, and all these steps. But I don't know off the top of my head. I have to look it up every single time, and I suggest you do the same thing because you don't want to do it wrong. You want to definitely do it according to the guidelines so that you don't make anybody sick. And again, I have to look that up every single time just to make sure. And you want to make sure that you don't throw away that extra fat and stuff that I'm putting over to the side. I'm going to throw that in my freezer in a bag, and then I'm going to make stock with that with some extra veggie scraps that I have in there as well. And I'm just going to put that in the freezer until I'm ready to make the stock.
One package of chicken, can you see? You gave me these 2 jars right here, and we're going to can those. And then I'm going to do 2 more with one other package of chicken. The rest I love having those available to me on my shelves. Okay, so I got 4 quarts out of those 2 packages of chicken. And that's enough for 4 meals, and I'm going to pressure can that. So now I'm going to do the marinades, and I have 6 bags here that I'm going to do. I'm going to do 4 different marinades. So I'm going to basically divide all these chicken packages in half and throw the chicken in here. I'm not going to slice any of them. I'm just going to slice them open this way, but I'm not going to chop them up. And that way I'll have big marinated pieces. And again, I'm just going to save all my scraps for making chicken broth. Maybe I'll cut them in 4 pieces. I'm going to cut every piece into 4 pieces. That's what I'm going to do. There we go.
I find that buying the chicken on sale at Kroger is the best way to go, or even on clearance. These packages were $1.99 a piece, and I just wanted to get them out of my refrigerator and into the freezer in a way that I would use them. So that's why I'm marinating them up ahead. I find this is a great way to do make ahead kind of freezer meals so that I have things in my freezer ready to go. All you need to do is set them out ahead of time to defrost a little bit. You can either do them in a sheet pan in your oven or in a skillet on top of the stove. And then what I like to do is just make a veggie of some sort, even if it's just raw carrots for the kids, and maybe some sauteed broccoli for Dave and me. And then some kind of starch of rice or a potato works great. And they're quick and easy meals that you don't really have to think about. You can even throw the meat on the grill. I found that works great as well. And here I'm just putting everything on a cookie sheet to try to contain the chicken mess the best I can. I don't want to have chicken all over everything. And that little bag that's left on the counter there, that's what's going in my freezer. Those are the chicken scraps that I'm going to make broth out of.
I'm going to show you my bacon situation here. This is usually how I end up cooking my bacon, right here. See? Extra crispy, a little bit burnt on the ends. Happens all the time. I forget about it. Leave it in there. This is how most people cook their bacon. Yeah, see? Like, that's perfect, right? And this is how I do it. I'm not perfect. That's what happens to my bacon all the time. Thankfully, my family likes bacon no matter how I cook it. And then don't forget to save your bacon fat. I save mine in like a mason jar like this in the fridge. And it makes the best, like when you cook eggs or chicken, even if you don't have bacon, it makes your food taste like bacon. It's so good. So now that I've got everything set up, we're gonna do 6 bags of marinade, and I'm gonna do 4 different recipes. So we're gonna do a ranch and pesto chicken. We're gonna do a peach mango salsa. We're gonna do a honey mustard chicken, a cranberry, kind of a sweet and sour kind of cranberry recipe, and those are the 4 that we're going to do. So for this first one, which is the ranch pesto chicken, this could not be easier. This is some $1.99 pesto that I bought from Kroger. We're going to pop that into this bag. And then we are going to put about a half a cup or so of this ranch powder. This is the 3rd cup, that works. Here's my half cup. And this is a half cup of the ranch powder, and that's just the store-bought, what is that? Hidden Valley Ranch powder, and I'm going to throw that in there. I've had that forever. Actually, I'm going to scrape out the rest of this. I don't want to waste any of that. So delicious. Okay. I'm going to do that. And we're just going to add a little bit of extra. We're going to add a little bit of extra oil to that, maybe like 2 or 3 tablespoons. And then we're going to just, I fold the bags over so when I put the chicken in, so the chicken's not on the outside. And then when we're going to fold this up, we're going to just seal it up and just mix it all around. And that is one done. And then I'm just going to write on the outside of the bags what these all are as I make them. And then what I like to do is actually lay them flat in my freezer like this. And that way they don't take up a lot of room in the freezer and they just stack on top of each other. So that's one done. Let's do the next one. And a lot of these, I'm just going to either throw in a sheet pan and throw them in the oven, or I'm going to do them on either my Blackstone or my grill outside. And so a quick and easy dinner. I love just having grilled meat, like marinated meat in my freezer. Okay, this next recipe I'm doing with my peach mango salsa that I made. And this has been in my pantry since 2019. And so I want to kind of use this up because it's been sitting there and I don't have a good use for it. I've tried it with chips and there's something missing in this salsa. And I used a recipe from somebody online and I can't remember who it was, but I won't be doing it again. I don't love it and we don't eat it on a regular basis, but I am going to make this into a marinade and hopefully I can get that to taste good. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to make the marinade first before I pour it on the chicken. Usually I just pour everything in the bag and just go for it. But because I'm making this recipe up, I'm going to try this first in a dish, taste it, and make sure I have all the seasonings right before I pour it in the chicken. If you guys can things, how do y'all get the cans open? I use one of these and I've seen people just use a knife and I can't do that. I don't know how you do that. So this is how I open it, with one of these. Let's see. Since you're not going to reuse the lid anyway, but no. I'm going to taste this because I feel like there's something. It's good. Maybe there's just some sugar in it. I don't know. There's something missing. But anyway, it's good. It tastes fine. It's just not something I'm going to eat with chips. It tastes flat. So we're going to use that. And there's already a lot of spice in there. But I am going to add some Anaheim peppers to this because I have these in my freezer. This is about a cup. This is a 1.5 cup measuring cup and it's not full. This is about a cup of those peppers. I'm going to add those in to try to use some of these up. And I don't want it to be too hot. This has the salsa already has a little bit of heat to it. So I don't want to add too many, but that seems like a good amount. I'm going to get a clean spoon. And honestly, what I think it's missing is salt. I think salt may help this, but we'll try it. Okay. So I have the peppers and the salsa mixed together here. And to this, I am going to add a little bit of garlic. Let's get some of that out. See if we can make this taste even better. Maybe, I don't know, what's that, 2 tablespoons? This is gonna be 2 marinades. So that's about 2 tablespoons of garlic. A little bit of lemon juice. It could be some acids missing from the salsa too, I'm not sure. Say about 1, 2-ish tablespoons of lemon juice. We're gonna put a little bit of these coconut aminos in there. Probably about 1/4 of a cup of that. Stir this around. So that could be the added salt component. I might add a little bit of salt too. And then a little bit of olive oil. Maybe about 1/4 a cup of olive oil. And I'm definitely going to add some more salt and pepper. Two generous teaspoons of salt. And the same for the pepper. And again, my kids don't overly love black pepper, so I'm not going to make it too peppery. Now we're going to taste this. Oh, that's much better. The soy sauce in that and the lemon. Might need just a hint more lemon. I think that's what it's missing. I think the salsa recipe is missing some kind of acid. Gets me thinking maybe if I put some lemon juice in it, I could actually eat it with chips. Another clean spoon. Oh my gosh, that is so, so good. All right, let's taste it one more time. Oh, that's perfect. I love that. All right, that's really good. Okay, we're gonna use this measuring scoop to kind of put it into two bags here. So a couple of scoops of that. This is gonna be a little bit spicy, but oh my gosh, I love that. So good. All right, I'll put down what I did in the directions down below so that you can get the recipe for that. You could just use some like peach mango salsa or whatever that you find at Costco. I've seen it, or other places, or just some chopped up peaches and some mango. I don't even think you need to make it into salsa. It would still be delicious. Okay, so that's my recipe for that. Just gonna bag this up and zhuzh it around some. Oh my gosh, that's so good. All right. That's it, and then we're just gonna label these. Well, now I know what to do with the rest of that mango salsa in there, and I still have 3 jars. So if this turns out good when I cook it, I'll make more of this so I can use that up, because it's taking up valuable space in my pantry that I could be using something else. And I know for some of you who've already heard this story because I say it all the time, but I just wanted to, for anybody who's new, I just wanted to say that my son Max does not love onions. What I'm going to do, because a couple of the recipes call for onions in the marinade, is I'm going to food processor some of these onions up that I got on clearance at Kroger. I need to get them in my fridge anyway because they were on clearance and I don't want them to spoil. So I just chopped up a bunch of onions. I'm going to put them in my food processor. I'm going to throw them in a bag, and then we're going to stick them in the freezer. And that way I'll have them for whatever I want to make. So I'm going to put a bunch of these in this baggie. And then use them to cook with. How I use these is I just pull them out of the bag, break off a chunk if it's frozen solid, break off a chunk, and then just throw it in my recipe and try to kind of guess at what equals 1 onion. I prefer my onions chunked, but Max does not, and rather than have him pick out everything and not eat anything I make, I just make basically onion mush and use this to cook with. Do you guys have any picky eaters? What do you guys have to do to get them to eat? This is one of my tips and tricks, I guess, for that, because he likes the flavor of onions. He doesn't complain about the flavor. It's more just the chunks of the onions in the recipes. I will clean that up in a few minutes. So for this next recipe, we are going to do the cranberry sweet and sour chicken. So that's going to be 1 cup of cranberry, and I'm going to make 2 of these. So we're going to do 2 jars of my cranberry chutney, and I will link the recipe down below for how to make this. This is delicious. It's got all kinds of spices in it. So we're going to put 1 jar in here and 1 jar in here. Oh my gosh, I bet this is going to make the best sauce. Okay, and we're going to put about 1/2 cup of ketchup in each one of these, and you can use any ketchup you want, homemade, store brand, which I believe this is. Yeah, this is great value. And I'm not really good at measuring, but I will put the measurements down below so that you can have them. 1/4 cup of sugar in each one, and 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar. And I do not have red wine vinegar. I have this champagne vinegar that I'm trying to use up, so I'm going to use that today. So I'm going to say that pretty much any vinegar will work. I'm just going to measure out 1 cup, pour 1/2 in here, and 1/2 in here. There we go. Go with that. 1/2 teaspoon of Worcestershire. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. About 1/2 cup of oil in each one. That looks pretty good. Some garlic in each one of those. Maybe about a tablespoon. Maybe a couple tablespoons. Teaspoon of salt. About teaspoon of pepper, about maybe 1/2 teaspoon in each one of those. I don't want to get too peppery. And then we're going to put in some chopped onions that you saw me chop up. And I think we're going to do about 1/2 cup. So that's about 1 cup. So we're just going to put 1/2 in here and 1/2 in here. Okay, not everything, I think. Cranberry, ketchup, sugar. I didn't put the sugar in because my cranberry chutney is very sweet, so I didn't add that, but I will put it down below, because the recipe down below, because it does call for 1/4 cup of sugar, but I'm going to leave that out of my recipe. The ketchup and the cranberry chutney have a lot of sugar in them, and I don't feel like it's going to need it. And to be honest with you, I would probably use brown sugar and not regular sugar, just because I like the depth of flavor. I think that it's a little bit more yummy. Okay. And then we are just going to marinate that. That's the cranberry sweet and sour chicken. I'm going to put that one aside. Okay, so the next one, the last one here, is going to be the honey mustard chicken. So that is going to be, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get the honey out of here. We'll see. My recommendation to you is, if you can, buy your honey in a glass container. That way you can heat it up on the stove or in the microwave, and it won't, when it crystallizes, because real honey crystallizes and then it can never get out of this plastic container. So my tip to you is to look for it in a glass container. I'm going to heat this up just a little bit and see if we can get some out. And the best way that I found to do that is to heat up some water on the stove, put this in the water really quick, and then take it out. If you do it in the microwave, the whole container starts to melt. And that just makes a giant mess. The other thing that seems to help when you work with honey is, if you want to measure it, is to spray your measuring cup with spray, liquids like, what's this, cooking spray? And then the honey comes right out. Or you can just do what I do and don't measure it at all and just guess. And so then I don't use the spray or the measuring cup. I just put it in the bag. This recipe calls for stone ground mustard, and I do not have that. I have honey Dijon mustard that looks like it might have some... Okay, I have to clean that mess up now. So this looks like it might have some stone ground mustard in it. So I'm just going to use this because it says it already has honey in it, and we're putting honey in it too. So it can't, this is what I have. Basically, this is what I have. So this is what we're going to use. So 1/4 cup of mustard. And we're going to eyeball that and say that's about 1/4 cup. One of the things about making these recipes is afterwards I have to sweep my entire floor because I've got onion peels. Now I have mustard on the floor. I have a big mess. So I'm kind of slobby when I cook. Okay, we're gonna put in a 1/4 cup of honey as well. So equal parts mustard and honey. Let's just take the lid off of that. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but honey does not go bad. So even if it crystallizes in your cabinet, you can still use it. You just need to heat it up a little bit to get it out of the container. I'm gonna say that's good. Honey and mustard. We're gonna put a little bit of oil in here. Close for 1/2 cup, but that seems like a lot. So I'm gonna do about 1/4 cup. Oh no, 1/4 cup of oil. So that was 1/4 cup of oil. And then a little bit of garlic. Or a lot. Oops. Oops. That's typical. I like garlic, so that's fine. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, so about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. We're just eyeballing it. And some oregano, about 1/4 teaspoon of oregano, so we'll just put a little pinch in there. And a pinch of red pepper flakes. And that's it for that one. And that's it. So we're just going to close up this bag and massage it all together. And I still have all of these onions. I'm going to stick these in my freezer and cook with these. And just like the chicken, I'm going to lay them down flat like this, and then I can break off a chunk because it's going to be frozen together. I'm going to break off a chunk when I want to cook with it. So I just whack it against the counter and take a big chunk out. So let me just show you what we did today with all the things we got accomplished. Right here, I have the peppers that we chopped up. So these are the chunk peppers, and then these are the sliced peppers. I have over here 4 bags of zucchini shredded. Here I have 4 cans of chicken that I'm about to put in the canner. So I'm going to do that next. I'll show you when it's completely done. I have these scraps that are going in the freezer. And these are the extra pieces of like chicken fat and stuff that I'm going to use to cook down the chicken broth. So those are the scraps, and these are the onion peels that I used for chicken broth. We cooked up 2 pounds of bacon, and that's in here. I did the peach mango salsa spicy chicken. I did a pesto ranch chicken right here. 2 of the cranberry sweet and sour chickens, and 1 of the honey mustard chicken. And when I cook these, I will let you know what we think, because this is our first time trying most of these, and some of them I just kind of made up on the fly. Okay. Oh, and also 1 big bag of onion puree, basically, to cook with. And that's what we've done. Okay, this is the canning book I use for pressure canning. I use it all the time, and I love it. I have the ball canning book as well. This is my pressure canning go-to book, though. And I just looked it up for chicken. It takes 90 minutes. So I am going to pressure can these 4 quarts for 90 minutes, and then I will put them on. They'll be shelf stable and ready to go whenever I need them. But I highly recommend this pressure canning book. I love it. It's got all kinds of recipes in here. And if you don't want to can just chicken, you don't have to do it as an ingredient. There's recipes in here for chicken cacciatore, chicken chow mein, chicken corn chowder, all kinds of yummy recipes. if you want to do it as a recipe and not just as an ingredient. But then I have more options for this if I just can it as chicken, which is what I'm going to do. I'm so excited about those marinades I just did. I just can't stop thinking about it. We're going to have one next week for sure. Okay, I'm going to pressure can this chicken right now. My canner is gigantic, and this is a Tefal canner that I got from Amazon, and it was one of the more inexpensive ones. So I didn't really want to spend a lot of money, not knowing if I was going to love it or not. I do love it. However, my stove does not put out enough BTUs to actually can correctly for it. So I have to, instead of controlling my pressure with my gauge, I have to put my gauge all the way up and then control the pressure with the heat on my stove. My next stove will definitely be an industrial strength stove that I can do this correctly. But it does work, and I know how to adjust it now that I've been using it for a while. And all I do here is put enough water to cover this bottom rack. And I have a rack in my pressure canner so that the cans don't sit directly on the pot and then on the stove, and that will crack your jars. So I just cover that with water, and that's all I need in this pressure canner. I also have a second rack, so if I'm not doing quarts and I'm doing pints instead, you can double stack your pints. One of the things I love about pressure canning is you can get a lot in here because you can stack. Okay, so I'm going to stick this on the stove right here. It's the complete book of home preserving, and this has got pressure canning recipes and water bath recipes in it. So I love this book. This one has some great recipes in it. I use a lot of these. As you can see, I have things bookmarked all the time. It's got great pictures. It's really good. And this one I really love this is the one I really love for pressure canning as well. So these are two of my go-tos. Actually, I just love cookbooks in general. They're so fun. I'm going to, maybe, I'm only going to dip this in here once though, because I don't want to put chicken on it and then use it again. So I am just going to wipe the edges of my jars off. I know they're good. I just used them. I'm just going to wipe these off. And make sure I don't have any grease or anything that's going to prevent them from sealing. We're just going to throw these into the pot. Well, I'm going to gently place them into the pot. I'm definitely not going to throw them. That would be bad. So I have 4 of those in there. We're going to put the lid on and we're going to and wait for the steam to start coming out of here. So I have that open. Once the steam starts coming out of this little gauge, let me see if I can get you closer. Once the steam starts coming out of this gauge right here, we're gonna wait 10 minutes, time it. I use my microwave to time it. And then we're gonna close up the pressure and let it go for an hour and a half. So now I'm making the same sweet and sour sauce I made for the chicken marinade, and I'm just cooking it down. I have a friend who is gonna get a meal tonight, so I'm just gonna pour the sauce over these meatballs and send over a container of rice, and she can have that for dinner tonight. Her daughter had surgery this morning, and I just wanna send them a meal so that they don't have to cook tonight, or they could pop it in the freezer for another night if that is a better fit for them. So I'm just gonna double this sauce. I'll make one pan for them, and then one regular pan for us. Since I have to be in the kitchen anyway, keeping an eye on my pressure cooker, which is now steaming and has 7 minutes to go before I can pressurize it. I'm just gonna make this quick sauce, and we're gonna dump it over meatballs for my friend, and then another pan of meatballs for us. I'm gonna make rice to go with it and send that over to their home, and that's gonna be dinner for us tonight. And I already had all the ingredients out from the chicken I made anyway. So now the timer's gone off. I flipped this over to 3 to get the pressure up, and once the pressure is up between 11 and 12, I will time this for an hour and a half. I just took the chicken out of the canner. Can you see it's still bubbling? It's still boiling. After the timer goes off, you let it sit in the canner until all the pressure comes back down, and then you can take these out. You want to do it very slowly though, because if the change in temperature is too great, you have a chance to crack your jars, and we don't want to have that happen after we spent extra money to get the chicken and the time to put it actually in the canner. But look, it made its own juice. All I did was put the chicken in there. I didn't add anything else. It's totally cooked now. It's in its own juice, and it's ready to go for any recipe that I need it for. And in here I have 5 cups of rice and 10 cups of water, and I am just going to cook the rice in my Instant Pot. Divide it in half, half for us, half for my friend. I put hers in one of these disposable pans, and I'll put foil over it with instructions. She can just pop it in the oven when she's ready to cook it. Ours is ready to go. It's all in there, and then when I go to heat it up tonight, I'll just put it in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes until it's warmed all the way through, and then we'll serve it over the rice. Okay, this is it, the meal for my friend. There's a bunch of rice, about 2 cups or so of rice, 4 cups total, 2 cups of uncooked rice, I guess, 4 cups total of rice, the meatballs, and some cake. And then for our dinner tonight, we've got the rest of the rice that's in here, and meatballs, and I'll make a salad or something to go with that. That's it for today, guys. If you liked hanging out with me, please give me a thumbs up. That really helps me out a lot. Love to see you in future videos, so please subscribe and hit that notification bell below so that you get notified when I do any other videos. If you'd like to see other videos I've done, just click on the link here and here, and I hope to see you in the next video.